Microsoft and OpenAI are now investigating DeepSeek over allegations that they stole OpenAI's technology. And this comes right after the Chinese startup dropped its R1 model, an AI that supposedly costs just a fraction of what OpenAI spent on GPT-4, yet performs just as well, if not better, than OpenAI's O1. And just when you think things couldn't get any crazier, Alibaba jumps into the mix, claiming that their brand new Qwen 2.5 model beats both DeepSeek and OpenAI on benchmarks. Yeah, the AI wars just got real. So let's break it all down and see how this wild saga is unfolding. Alright, so first off, why is Microsoft, one of OpenAI's biggest investors, so concerned? Well, according to reports from Bloomberg, Microsoft's security researchers noticed suspicious activity linked to a group they believe is connected to DeepSeek. This all went down in the fall of last year, when these individuals were allegedly pulling massive amounts of data from OpenAI's API. By the way, that's the same API developers pay OpenAI to use for their own apps and services, making it a critical revenue stream. As soon as Microsoft spotted these red flags, they tipped off OpenAI, and an investigation was launched. Now, the big question, did DeepSeek actually steal anything valuable from OpenAI's models? David Sachs, the White House's so-called AI and crypto czar, told Fox News that there's substantial evidence that DeepSeek essentially distilled OpenAI's knowledge into its own system. If you're not familiar with the AI term distillation, it's a technique where one model learns from another model's outputs, essentially compressing or copying some of its capabilities. If that's what happened, then, yeah, that's a serious intellectual property issue, especially with tensions between the US and China already high over advanced technology. And get this. Earlier in January, DeepSeek's free AI assistant skyrocketed past ChatGPT to become the top free app on Apple's App Store in the US, and it's also ranked #1 in dozens of other countries. That kind of success obviously raises eyebrows. How did this Chinese startup, which seemingly came out of nowhere, manage to beat all these American AI giants in downloads? The impact was big enough to trigger an actual sell-off of tech stocks on Monday, as investors scrambled to figure out if their assumptions about AI dominance were being shattered. DeepSeek's core claim is that they've built a large language model, called R1, with reasoning capabilities that rival OpenAI's best models, despite spending nowhere near the billions of dollars OpenAI has. In fact, the company released a research paper claiming it only spent about $5.6 million to train its foundation model, V3, using just 2,000 NVIDIA H800 GPUs. For comparison, Sam Altman from OpenAI hinted that GPT-4 might have cost well over $100 million and used around 25,000 H100 GPUs. So how did DeepSeek manage to reach the same level with just a fraction of the resources? Not everyone is convinced. Palmer Luckey, the founder of Oculus VR, called DeepSeek's numbers bogus, even going as far as to call them Chinese propaganda. He even suggested that it might be a psychological operation designed to disrupt U.S. tech investments or manipulate short positions in the stock market. Elon Musk, who has close ties to President Donald Trump, also expressed skepticism. He responded on social media with a firm, "obviously," when someone speculated that DeepSeek might have secret access to advanced hardware. Meanwhile, Alexander Wang from Scale.ai believes that DeepSeek somehow acquired far more powerful hardware than they're admitting, possibly as many as 50,000 H100 GPUs in secret. He didn't provide hard evidence, but the rumor is strong enough to keep fueling speculation that DeepSeek's low-budget success story might not be telling the whole truth. At the end of the day, the question remains: are these tech giants genuinely worried about stolen technology, or are they just frustrated that a much smaller player managed to outperform them without the need for billions in funding? DeepSeek didn't rely on massive investor cash, didn't follow OpenAI or Google's usual playbook, yet still built an AI model that competes at the highest level. And when you look at who's making these accusations, it's mostly the companies whose own AI projects just got overshadowed. So it's not surprising that they're quick to cast doubt, whether by alleging IP theft or questioning how DeepSeek managed to achieve such efficiency. Real-world benchmarks give us a clearer picture of how DeepSeek actually compares to its rivals. Fortunately, we do have some direct comparisons that test DeepSeek's R1 against ChatGPT's latest O1 model and O1 Pro, and the results? Surprisingly competitive. One test evaluated each model's ability to handle creative writing, math, logic, and more. It turns out DeepSeek R1 outperformed ChatGPT in some areas, like identifying the 1 billionth prime number and generating specific creative paragraphs. However, it fell behind on tasks requiring complex instructions or solving hidden code challenges. The key takeaway? R1 is operating at the same level as OpenAI's best models, which is pretty insane considering how new DeepSeek is on the global stage. As if that weren't dramatic enough, we also learned that part of DeepSeek's success might be thanks to Huawei's hardware. While their R1 model was initially trained on NVIDIA's H100 or H800 GPUs, for inference, basically, the stage where the model responds to user queries, it's apparently running on Huawei's Ascend 910C AI chips. These chips aren't as powerful as NVIDIA's best, but inference doesn't require as much raw computing power as training. That means DeepSeek can still rely on NVIDIA for training, but once the model is ready, they can deploy it on cheaper or less restricted hardware. This detail has massive geopolitical implications, especially since the US is actively trying to limit China's access to advanced chips. And just when you thought the AI wars couldn't escalate further, Alibaba decided to shake things up even more. The company announced Qwen 2.5, an AI model they claim can outperform both GPT 4.0 and DeepSeek V3 in various benchmarks. But that's not all. Alibaba also unveiled Qwen 2.5 VL, a model designed to handle complex text, image analysis, and even video processing, basically a highly versatile AI. And the market took notice. The moment Alibaba made this announcement, their stock jumped nearly 3%. That's a sharp contrast to what happened with NVIDIA. When DeepSeek dropped its R1 model, NVIDIA's market cap took a historic hit, losing a staggering $600 billion in a single day, the biggest one-day loss in U.S. stock market history. Talk about market whiplash. But Alibaba isn't stopping there. They've revealed plans to train even larger models, including Qwen 2.5 Max, using a colossal 20 trillion tokens. The training method? A mix of supervised fine-tuning and reinforcement learning from human feedback. If that last part sounds suspiciously similar to OpenAI's approach, you're not alone in thinking that. But at the same time, most major AI labs use these techniques. It's more about the scale and execution. Alibaba's real advantage may lie in its infrastructure. They own one of China's largest cloud computing businesses, which raked in over $4.2 billion in revenue in Q2 of 2025. With that kind of financial and technical muscle, they have every reason to keep pushing forward in the AI race. To make things even more intense, ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, saw an opportunity and jumped in by releasing an update to its own flagship AI model just days after DeepSeek R1 launched. And of course, they're also claiming their model outperforms existing US AI systems. At this point, it's clear China is in the middle of a full-blown AI arms race. Every major Chinese tech company is now competing to prove they can develop powerful AI models without needing the enormous budgets that OpenAI or Google have relied on. Meanwhile, on the user side, DeepSeek is dominating. It's currently the #1 app on the iOS App Store in 51 countries. People testing the R1 chatbot say it's surprisingly impressive, though it does censor certain topics. However, that doesn't mean OpenAI is going anywhere. ChatGPT is still a giant, especially among enterprise customers, and Microsoft's massive infrastructure gives it a major advantage. Then there's the bigger geopolitical issue. The US has imposed strict export controls on advanced AI chips to China. But despite that, China is still making progress, using restricted chips like NVIDIA's H800 and Huawei's Ascend 910C. This raises a critical question. Can the US actually slow down China's AI progress by restricting high-end chips? Or will Chinese companies simply optimize their software and find ways to make do with slightly less powerful hardware? If the latter is true, it's a huge challenge for the US in terms of trade and tech control. On a purely technical level, one of the coolest comparisons we've seen is the billionth prime number test. ChatGPT took a traditional approach, providing an estimate based on prime number theory and margin of error. DeepSeek R1, on the other hand, cited actual references like prime grid and directly stated the correct value, 22,801,763,489. That was a big wow moment for those who assumed OpenAI would always be more precise. Then again, R1 also messed up some basic tasks, like a simple puzzle where it had to encode letters from a hidden message using the second letter of each sentence. So it's still far from perfect. And just when things couldn't get more chaotic, Alibaba threw its hat back in the ring with a major bombshell. They're claiming that their brand new version of Qwen 2.5, or Qwen 2.5 Max, outperforms GPT 4.0, DeepSeek V3, and even Meta's Llama 3.05b across the board. That's a direct quote from Alibaba, and it comes right after all the hype surrounding DeepSeek's low-budget breakthrough. It feels like Alibaba is deliberately stepping in to shift attention back to themselves. Some analysts even believe Alibaba strategically timed this announcement. They dropped the news during Lunar New Year, when millions of people were at home, relaxing with family, and spending more time on their phones. This ensured their AI breakthrough wouldn't get lost in the usual flood of tech news. So where does this leave us? Simply put, the entire AI landscape is in chaos. The balance of power is shifting, and no one knows who will come out on top. The battle in AI is heating up, with major players like Microsoft-backed OpenAI, Google, and Meta facing off against rising challengers from China like DeepSeek, ByteDance, and Alibaba. But the biggest question remains: did DeepSeek actually steal OpenAI's technology, or did they find a way to replicate it without breaking the rules? Right now, the investigation is still ongoing. Microsoft and OpenAI haven't dropped any major accusations yet, but the fact that they're taking this seriously says a lot. Meanwhile, Washington is paying attention, with David Sachs openly suggesting that DeepSeek may have gained insights from GPT-4's outputs. If any solid proof comes out, or if there's a settlement, expect massive headlines. But this AI race isn't just about who has the most powerful model anymore. Now it's about who can build AI at the lowest cost, who can launch new models the fastest, who can address growing concerns over security and censorship. DeepSeek's alleged data breach is just another sign of how valuable these AI models have become. If OpenAI spent over $100 million to build GPT-4, but DeepSeek somehow replicated a similar level of intelligence with just $6 million, that's a huge disruption, if their claims hold up. And just as this chaos unfolds, Alibaba jumps into the mix, claiming their Qwen 2.5 model beats both OpenAI and DeepSeek on multiple benchmarks. Their timing is no accident. It came right during Lunar New Year, when millions of people were online, ensuring maximum attention. So, where does this leave the AI industry? Everything is shifting rapidly. I'll be closely watching the Microsoft OpenAI versus DeepSeek investigation, because whatever happens next could change how companies handle AI security and large-scale licensing. And of course, Alibaba's claims will need real-world testing to see if they truly live up to the hype. One thing is clear: the AI wars are just getting started. Let me know what you think. Did DeepSeek actually steal OpenAI's tech, or are American companies just panicking? Stay subscribed for more updates on the AI IntelliNews.